Namaste to all from India and across the world for the 12th and concluding session of Jnana Vaividya, a 12-week Vocational Diversity Speaker Series conceived by our District 3190 Vocational Service team led by Rotarian Dr. P.M. Radhakrishna. On behalf of our DG, Rotarian Nagendra Prasad, District 3190 Vocational Service Team and Lead Club Rotary Bangalore Whitefield Central, I am Manoj Kabre welcoming you all. As you all know, we have very carefully curated this series to bring selected speakers who have done excellent work in their vocation and are able to share their extensive knowledge with us all. Special welcome to our today's speaker, Dr. Seshu Bhagavathula, Director Volta Trucks, Sweden, and also a special welcome to our chief guest today, Past President Rotary and Dr. O.P. Khanna, District Advisor. I would like to make a special mention of the 10 guest clubs who have partnered with us today for this event. Welcome to all the Rotarians as well as friends of Rotary. Our vocational service team at District 3190 believes in our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's vision. The more we give importance to skill development, the more competent will be our youth. This team, led by our Vocational Service Director, Dr. P.M. Radhakrishna, comprises of subcommittees such as Vocational Diversity and Awards, VTT and Friendship Exchange, Skill Development, Startup and Entrepreneurship, Four-Way Test, Business Development, Career Advancement of Rotarians, Career Guidance, People of Action, and Rotary Action Groups. With this short welcome note, I would like now to invite our Dr. Ramesh to introduce our speaker for the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rotarian Manoj. It's our pleasure to have Dr. Seshu Bhagavathula here. Me being in the automotive industry, meeting sir and hearing from him is really a pleasure. And Dr. Bhagavathula currently is a board of director, Volta Trucks, Sweden. And the moment we all hear the Volvo, we know about the quality. And Volvo currently pioneer in truck for zero-emission vehicles. That's close to 16-ton trucks. And prior to that, Dr. Seshu was vice president of new technologies in Ashok, Leyland, and also he was heading a position like CTO of Ashok, Leyland in the past. And as you all know, Ashok Leyland is like a very, very old company in India, especially for commercial vehicles. Maybe when I was born, that's the only commercial vehicle I could see in South India. So sir has been really instrumental in the technology part of it. And he was also vice president for China's Great Wall Motor Company. And you know, a lot more volume come into picture the moment we hear about China. And he was also part of Daimler as a senior director and many other companies like Daimler. So with like this, yes, a lot of senior position in such a big companies. And he is holding doctorate from Stuttgart University, Germany, after his IIT, BTech, IIT Mumbai. And sir also has 35 technical publications. So I'm excited to listen from Dr. Seshu Bhagavathula. This is probably the brief we could introduce sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ramesh. Very nice of you. Very nice of you to introduce me. Okay, so let me take control of the screen. Share the screen. Someone needs to help me with the, yeah, someone has to give me the control.
Sir, you can share now.
Okay, so share. Okay, there you go. Yep. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so in fact, when I was approached by Raja, he said, Doctor, how we would like to listen on something that's fascinating, that's future, and that is something that should actually remind us for a very long time to come. Now, I thought, how would actually one do a presentation of that complexity of looking into the future, and at the same time, make it not so technical, because of probably the kind of people that attend do not all have the same competencies like developing a truck or a car. Now, I can imagine that that you're required to put more pictures and probably talk no differential equations and no big scientific terminology. And so that's what I would try to do, as simple as possible for so everyone can appreciate it. So there is actually something people talk about these days. There is an acronym that is widely used in automotive language that's called CASE: connected, autonomous, shared, and electric. And if we talk of CASE, you basically are talking about the future of the mobility here in the world. Now, if I can just probably sum up with what are actually the trends, the major trends that are contributing to the future mobility. One of them is the powertrains. You know, there are batteries coming in. There is a hiss coming from somewhere. I think all the others should probably mute themselves. Yeah, now it's good. Thank you very much. So there, powertrain technologies. You know, you have this auto, diesel, normal engines, but they're all going to go away at some point in future. What we are watching right now is the dawn of battery electric vehicles. And you also talk of fuel cells. When we talk of electric vehicles, we do not only talk of battery-based electric vehicles, we also talk of fuel cells as well. Hydrogen-based fuel cells, and there are others as well where you can make fuel cells. It's not just only hydrogen being the more famous one. Now, lightweight materials. Now, very strong lightweight materials all over the place. The technology is so ripe today that you can make a truck that is 30% less in terms of its weight than just 5 years ago. Now imagine if you can reduce a vehicle's weight by 30%, you can actually carry either more people, if it's a bus or a truck, then actually more weight. If it's a passenger car one, you require less amount of battery or less amount of fuels. So lightweight materials and the technology has now matured so much that it really is now viable to be applied in vehicle technologies today. Now, there is a big development that's been happening. That's what we call the advances in connected vehicles. You know, literally everything is connected these days. And there's one famous saying of a person recently, everything that can be connected will be connected in the next 20 to 25 years. And there are also others who say those that are not connected today can also be connected over the time. So, you know, the beginnings of which you will see when the 5G comes in. Now, 5G is going to be a big breakthrough. But when we talk of connected vehicles, we talk of vehicle to infrastructure, vehicle to vehicle connection, or we talk of everything around the vehicle. You know, this is what we call the connected vehicle ecosystem. Then there's also a lot of shift happening in the mobility preferences. You know, the so-called Generation Y, Generation Z, the younger generations are leading the way. You know, they have a very different relationship to the mobility. They have very, very different preferences. You don't want to own a vehicle anymore. You know, in fact, you don't even want to lease a vehicle. You just want to go and get a vehicle, finish off the work, and leave it. Now, so you see these coming up all over the world, and I mean, right now I'm in Germany. That's where I live. Otherwise, we have here a system where you can just get a smart little car, a Mercedes smart car, for just 50 cents for 5 kilometers. I just need to apply it through an app, and then I just walk down maybe 200 meters and open the car using an app and just use it to wherever I want to go and leave it there. This is car to go. So there's a big shift happening in the mobility preferences of the younger people. And the last one is the emergence of autonomous vehicles. When we talk of autonomous vehicles, we don't yet talk of driverless vehicles. We should not get confused with driverless vehicles. Is the last part of the autonomous technology. We have 5 levels of autonomous technologies, and we will talk of them in the next few minutes. Now, when someone tells me today, it all looks so funny and something so distant in future, all you need to do is to look at the statement that Henry Ford made just in 1940. Mark my words, he said, a combination of airplane and a motor car is coming. You may smile, but it will come. Now, looking back in hindsight, you would naturally think how true he was. Now, that's the context setting. That's what I've done in the last 2 minutes. Now, let me take this to India, because that's where most of the population is sitting today. So if you look at why there is a need for electric, autonomous, and connected vehicles, just to give an example of what's happening on the Indian roads, although in the last months, because of the pandemic and because of the lockdowns, the deaths must have come down quite a bit, but there are every hour 55 accidents take place on the Indian roads. This is data from 2016, and I am sure, and I also know, although I don't have the exact statistics, but the numbers have gone up in the last, until 2020, before the lockdowns happened. So 17% actually get killed every hour on the Indian roads. So 2016 recorded an all-time high of persons killed per 100 accidents is 31.4. And for us, this statistics was something that I collected during my time as a CTO at Ashok Leyland, and we were making trucks and buses. So about 28% of all the road accidents actually take place because of trucks and buses. Now, that was important for us. In fact, this was one of the slides that I used to go to our board in Ashok Leyland to tell the board, give us the okay to start developing accident reduction technologies like distance warning radar sensor, lane change, lane detection. Lanes, when I talk of lane, I don't talk of these white lanes. I'm talking about course. I'm on a particular course, and if I change the course, someone should tell me, some sensor should tell me not to move left or right. Now, this is, so you can imagine this in the Indian context, you probably the worst country in terms of road accidents, and this is naturally not acceptable at all. So something has to happen, and I know this from my experience back in India, working for Ashok Leyland. We were meeting the governmental decision makers, and they're very, very positive on the things. They were actually looking at how to help this by bringing in legislation. So it's a positive talks that I remember having in New Delhi. So there are other parameters as well. Increasing pollution, I just saw today in the morning in the newspapers here that Delhi is back with, it has 2 problems. One is the winter, the pollution, and the virus. Now, we thought that this lockdown may have helped actually to change the character of the people, but it did not. We came back from lockdown in India, and everything went back to the same thing. Delhi now has a pollution problem. It has now a pandemic problem as well. Now, and we know fossil fuels are running out at a rapid pace. Now we are looking at lots of alternative fuel vehicles like synthetic ones, CNGs and whatever's, but they are actually meant for an in-between time, but they won't bring us to a world without a pollution. So I think there is no other way. We will have to generate renewable energy based on solar, wind, and tidals, and whatever. And we have to go electric in terms of our mobility. There is no other way. This is, again, context setting in the Indian context. If you go to the next one, this actually sums up quite many things on the topic today. So let's talk of, maybe spend 2-3 minutes on the slide, which talks about CASE, Connected, Autonomous, Shared, and Electric Vehicles. Now, CASE, as I said, the connected part. Now there are lots of things that happen when we talk of connection between the vehicles or around the vehicles. Now, there is one thing, what we call the vehicle to vehicle. The second one is vehicle to infrastructure. Here, the infrastructure is about a back-end cloud, maybe. It is, you know, the owner of the fleet. He's got his own computers. He wants to know where his truck is, where his vehicle is, and did he deliver what's supposed to deliver, and where is he now, what's the weight he's carrying right now, and so on. This information has to go. This is the vehicle to back-end, vehicle to infrastructure. But here in the Western world, people also talk of infrastructure being that the vehicle talks to, in fact, the sensors on the roads. You know, for example, there car-to-car communication. There are lots of experiments happening. Cars actually talk to themselves in future. There are people who talk of crossings in future that may not have traffic lights any longer, but cars approaching the crossings talk to each other, arrange themselves autonomously to pass through the crossing. Now, there's a big development happening on what we call vehicle as a data collection point. The vehicle itself collects lots of data. It can collect data on the road condition. It can collect data on exactly where the roads are, how good the road is, what's the weather in a particular place. There are lots of sensors in the cars, in the vehicles, that can actually deliver the information to the cloud and then to the larger world. So as time passes by, you will see vehicles themselves becoming a data collection point. Autonomous vehicles, you know, typically start with, depending on where you are. In India, typically, I think the first things you will see are camera systems coming, a small radar coming that actually measures the distance between you and the car or vehicle in front of you. It just gives a warning. That's a simple warning that itself would reduce the accidents by 28%. Most of the accidents actually take place and in the front portion of a vehicle. About 42% of the accidents actually take place on the front portion, on the left and right side of the driver, and very little at the back, because you know, you typically don't have much of a control on the back part of your vehicle. But then you hit someone typically, so the simple warning system should actually suffice the initial reduction of the accidents. There are also others, what we call the driver assistance systems, the advanced cruise control, ACC, blind spot, and so on. This is the second stage. The third stage is typically the partial autonomy. This is the advanced driver assistance systems. Partial autonomy is where, you know, the vehicle takes lots of decisions. You as a driver, you probably could take a minute or two to do other things, but then at some point or the other, you will have to take the control back. And the ultimate part of the autonomous thing is where the driver is either not there, or driver is sitting in the vehicle, but he doesn't drive anymore. Typically should be doing other things like, you know, maybe preparing himself for the next talk being given or for the meetings or whatever. On the truck side, you will see a lot of this platoon. A platoon is basically trucks that connect to the truck in front of them, and then you give the control to the truck in front, and the truck following just keeps the distance, and so the driver can do other things during this time. And whenever he wants to leave the platoon, he can unlock himself and take the exit and go. Now, talking about shared vehicles, there was a big development in the last years, but and this particular one needs to be looked at in the next months and years. The virus has actually dampened quite a bit on the euphoria that is surrounding the shared vehicles. There were, people were expecting that you would have aggregation of people, Olas and Ubers collecting more people and so on. They probably, and it also has some issue on if someone, for example, drives a car, leaves it somewhere, and I want to use the same car, is it clean enough for me to use it? So, and do I sit in the same car with someone else is sitting who I do not know? So shared park is something that there was a lot of hype around it in the last months. During the last months, not anymore, but we'll have to keep watching what's happening in this. But on the fleet side, on the commercial vehicle side, shared vehicles still have a lot of role to play, and they will as well improve over the time. Aggregation of small and big fleets. Most of the commercial vehicles actually travel half of the time with the luggage, with the weight. And typically you go with the luggage, you go with the weight, you come back vacant with no weight at all. So there's a lot that you can do. And most of the trucks are about 35% of the time to 60% of the time, depending on which country you're in, a truck or a commercial vehicle sits idle. It's not being properly made use of. So you can imagine that means this particular field is waiting for a big aggregation. And that's the reason you also see truck and commercial vehicle companies getting into fleet systems. You also see lots of startup companies coming in as well. So which actually shows that this is ripe for disruption right now. Now, there's something I have to spend a minute on is called the P2P, the peer-to-peer sharing. Now, there is an interesting development happening. There are, for example, if I can talk of, you know that I have some information or something for you, and you know that I have it. That means you can ask me for it and I send it to you. This is peer-to-peer. So what it means is I do not require someone in between. I do not probably require an aggregator in between to get a truck that's lying idle. What if I know that you own a truck that's right now sitting idle? And so what if I know is a question. So that's where you will see new kinds of applications coming in that will allow peer-to-peer communication taking place. Now, wait for this to happen. This is going to be disruptive for a lot of people. I can imagine wherever you have a middleman, there could be some issue here with this particular thing happening. 5G probably is the beginning for a large-scale peer-to-peer communication happening. So let's leave it there. The rest all I think can be seen in the next months and years, but watch for peer-to-peer taking off. Now the fourth one is the electric vehicles part. Now, just to give you a short example of what we mean by this is there are electric vehicles for short range, there are electric vehicles for mid-range, and there are long-range buses and trucks and other vehicles as well. Now, people talk of modular electric vehicle product development. So the rest is all a little bit of technology, but you've got fast charging. Within 20 minutes, you can probably charge 50% of the battery. Naturally, it's a different chemistry. Then what we call the second one, a flash charge. Flash charge, typically you see these pantographs in European cities, where you see a train attaching itself to the wires on the top. And there's a flash charge typically is done through such a mechanism. There's also what in Ashok, Leyland, we had this thing called battery swap. You drive 40 kilometers in a city bus, and the bus comes back to the depot, and within less than 2.5 minutes, you swap the battery, and you're set again. You're again for the 40 kilometers. So you save the weight of a battery by using this swap technology. Now, now just to give you some examples on how do they look like. This the one on the left side is an electric bus that we developed in Ashok Leyland. This is a typical electric bus that can run to, depending on the battery swap or a normal battery, it can run anywhere between 40 kilometers and get swapped, or it can go all the way up to 100 and 120 kilometers, and it can carry more than 50 passengers. Now, on the left side below, you see a shed, which is actually a place where the batteries get swapped within 2.5 minutes. On the right side, you see a passenger car. That's an example of that's a fuel cell-based vehicle could look like in future. And the one below on the right side, you see our double-decker and single-decker buses of a sister company of Ashok Leyland called Optair. These are battery-driven buses. The double-decker carries a 2.2 ton battery with about 70 passengers that runs up to 320 kilometers once it is completely charged. Now, let's look at autonomous and connected vehicles. As I said, on the left side, you see all the jungle of electronics. Now, on the left and right side, you see the surround view. This is done typically by a camera or sometimes radar, but typically it gives information on the left and right side, each 180 degrees probably. And then you have most probably 3 radars. One is a short range radar, and you got a long range radar with an adaptive cruise control. An adaptive cruise control is all about that you're running at, let's say, at 100 kilometers, you switch this on and the car just runs at this speed as long as it does not have a vehicle in front. But if it has a vehicle in front, keeping the minimum distance that's allowed, it starts applying brake on its own. But you also have, these are the sensors part. We'll talk on the applications part a little later. Now, at the back, you've got naturally park assistant. In the front, you've got a park assistant that, keeps beeping all the time. Or in some cases now, it also gives you the beep and the picture as well. Then you've got the blind spot detection sensors on the left and right side. And you've got a cross traffic alert for objects that are coming cross to you at an angle of 30 degrees to 45 degrees. Now you also have the so-called traffic signal and traffic light recognition. And you also have sensors that look at lane departure warning. So there are this jungle of sensors now. You can buy them all today, but it doesn't actually mean, if you have these sensors, doesn't mean that you can leave your steering wheel and sit at the back seat and do the driving. They just help you. You still are under control of the driving. You have to do it on your own. So, so there are these 5 levels defined by the Society for Automotive Engineers, level 0 to level 5. And level 5 for us for today is where there is probably no driver, or even if there's a driver, he's not driving, he's doing something else. So level 0 is totally driven by the human being, and 1 to 4 are the complexity increasing over the levels, and we believe that level 5 will take very, very long to come. But level 3 is something that you will see all over the place. You see them quite a bit in the Western world already, especially in Europe, level 3. And level 4, level 5 could probably be possible even at earlier times, but only in limited areas, like a campus, university campus maybe, or a factory campus where you have there's a robot vehicles, carrying some parts from one building to another building, where there's no cross traffic, but possibly you will see these level 5 vehicles in such environments. But I think, in spite of the fact that there is a lot of hype around it, it will be not easy to see level 5 vehicles running on the highways for a long time to come. Now, if you look at some of the examples, now, as I said, emergency braking system is something that you will see coming up in the next years, and we already have them in India as well, but here you see them quite a bit. ABS is now more or less legislation, so it must be in all the vehicles in India. Lane departure is something that you will see probably for quite some time, not yet coming up, but if you have dedicated corridors, freight corridors coming in, you will have to have lane departure warning systems as well coming in India. Adaptive cruise control, ACC, you have them already. These cars can be bought already. Electronic stability control, you've got intelligent speed limit control, then you have a collision warning system, blind spot detection, driver drowsiness detection. Europe is now deciding in the next months to make this as a legislation. I think more than 50% of all the accidents actually take place because the driver is not attentive for whatever reason. It's not just only driver drowsiness, but it's called driver monitoring system. You know, he's distracted by whatever means, whatever happens in the vehicle or outside. So you will see all these systems come. These are all part of the so-called advanced driver assistance systems. Now, as I said, there are a few types of vehicle communication, vehicle infrastructure, V2I. Then there is a V2V, the vehicle to vehicle communication. Then there's a vehicle to cloud, vehicle to pedestrian. Then you also have vehicle to everything, V2X. You see the developments happening at a varying pace depending on the particular region of the world. On the right side, you see a typical European city that really requires all these V2X happening, because there are so many kinds of participants in the traffic here that does require quite a bit of V2X communication happening. There are particular places given already free for experiments right now, so there is a lot of experimental development happening in this direction right now. As I said, platoon, you may have seen in the last 3 years, some of the highways in Europe have been given free for trucks to do experiments. The top truck makers in the world, like a Daimler, Scania, Volvos, and MAN and others, they actually made a live platoon and they drove more than 1,300 kilometers from Sweden all the way to, I think, southern part of France on the highways, making all kinds of configurations. What I mean by configuration is the front truck takes the lead, all the others lock themselves onto the first truck, but the first truck has to leave. So it actually communicates to the trucks at the back saying that I'm now leaving because I have to take the next exit. The second guy is supposed to then take the lead for all the other vehicles. So, you know, it's a very complex communication that takes place. You know, the first one is applying a brake. How fast others can apply brakes, you know, they were trying all of this because all the trucks do not have the same kind of electronics. So they were looking at all kinds of communication protocols and so on. So, but platoon is not just only meant for commercial vehicles. On the right side, you see experiments also happening on probably vehicles locking onto the vehicles in front and relax. There are experiments happening. There are business models, technology models, people trying to do on can these vehicles also form platoons on the highways. Now, shared vehicles, as you see here, one of the things you will actually see in the next years is a so-called multimodal mobility. Multimodal mobility is all about, probably in India, probably people think of the smart cities someday coming up with this multimodal mobility. What does it actually mean? It actually means that when you leave your house, let's say in a hypothetical situation, you come out of your house, you got an electric bicycle waiting for you. You take the bicycle and go to the next railway station, leave the bicycle there. You have a ticket available on your app, and you get into a train, and you get to the train goes into the airport nearby, and you come up into the airport and take to the terminal and take the flight and go to New York. And in New York, you have a bicycle or a taxi waiting for you, a car waiting. If you want to drive on your own, it will get you to your place or hotel where we want to go. This is a multimodal transportation. So I can imagine there will be shared mobility models coming up using multimodal models. And I don't know who will actually own this value chain, but this is going to be exciting. I think there, you have lots of players now here. Now, who actually combines all these players? I mean, the fantasy is the only limit for the business models here. That's what I wanted to say. So the next one is people talk quite a bit of artificial intelligence in mobility. Artificial intelligence in mobility is all about for all the hype that's is around this AI. Just to make things simple for all of us, artificial intelligence is used in places where you do not know everything. If I know everything, I do not require artificial intelligence. You just require natural intelligence. I mean, if I don't require anyone to tell me red is red. But if there are, let's say, between red and white, there are 48 colors and I cannot see all of them, you probably require to use some kind of an artificial intelligence. So, I mean, AI is all about where there are too many decisions to be taken. Inputs are not 100% known to you that we use. But in the mobility, there are lots of areas, lots of areas where you will see artificial intelligence happening. And there are lots of examples that you will see, you're already seeing, you will see as well. For example, take a speech. There are speech-controlled cars. Non-critical functions of a car are controlled by the speech today. For example, you can switch on the radio, you can activate your phone, you can call someone up by telling the name. But imagine understanding the speech requires some kind of an artificial intelligence, because we all speak the same language with different accents and different dialects. So that's where you typically require artificial intelligence, or text-to-speech, speech-to-text, or in some vision systems, you require artificial intelligence. Now, I just wanted you to also be aware of what's all happening. We're actually not doing very well in terms of handling the environment. We seem to be actually heading towards a disaster. It looks as though there are a few people warning, but because of the disparity in the way the world has developed over the time, where you have well-developed countries that had the first industry, second industrial revolutions happened 100 years ago, and there are developing countries. So this disparity allows, unfortunately, not everyone is doing the same thing in terms of keeping environment pollution-free and so on. So this person on the screen, Stephen Hawking, a great thinker who died recently. He himself said one time, I don't think the human race will survive next 1,000 years unless we spread into space, and humanity must colonize space. So, I mean, you can see there's going to be a lot happening in the next years. You see private space companies coming up, and you must have seen these Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and others getting into space race, and they're doing some fantastic work of reusable rockets and so on. You must have seen today in the news, so Ceres Rex, a space probe that actually has gone to an asteroid called Bennu, and it was on the fly. It just jumped onto the asteroid and collected a small little material of 80 grams. That brings it back by 2023 back to the Earth, so that we know exactly how Sun was born. So you'll see much more on it. But as you see, Stephen Hawking actually said, but he was frustrated with the way mankind is doing things. So he believes basically that we will not be able to respect the Paris Protocol, Paris Agreement. That means we will miss all the targets. That means we will actually get to a time where things will be irreversible, probably. That means the only alternative in such a case is colonizing the space. And you see the race starting now. Mars is becoming within the grasp for us. There are lots of preparations happening to send humans to the Mars, including people already talking about the first humans colonizing them will not come back. They will spend the rest of their life on the Mars, and so on. So you will see private space flights for tourism. It's probably even a matter of 5 more years before you could go into the space. You have to be rich enough to pay for it initially, but at some point the cost will also come down. Now, as I talked about mining of asteroids, you saw today Osiris landing there, Osiris-Rex. So it's a matter of time. I don't think that there will be a problem for natural the materials. The materials are all over the place. Precious materials may not be an issue. What will be an issue is the Earth. That's where we seem to be not doing very well right now. Now, 5G for transportation. I just have to ask my friend here, Raja, how many minutes do I have still? So I can pace my presentation.
Yeah, under 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes, thank you.
Yeah.
5G for transportation. Now, I had to put this slide here because for some of you who would be looking at some of these developments closely, for you, this is 5G will actually revolutionize everything we know. The precision of location that you can get using 5G because of its specialized spectrum, you will, and there will be 5G probably can be said as first time ever that you'll have dedicated bands within 5G for particular applications. So you will see a 5G for traffic or transportation. You will probably see 5G coming in for, let's say, factories, running special 5G applications on their own. So you have this dedicated, separate 5G layers for different applications. This will change the way things get communicated. So IoT, Internet of Things, or Industry 4.0, the IoT for industries, will really take off once you see 5G coming in. Now, some of the examples can be, you can see them here for transportation. Everything talks to each other. The cars can talk to each other. The precision, the location accuracy is so high that this is unbelievable. You can literally make out the difference between the back wheels, the rear wheels, and the front wheels of a car. You have different locations. You have different coordinates. I mean, it's an example that probably has no application, but the kind of 5G also comes with very less amount of noise, and it's very, very high speed. So everything that can be connected will be connected with 5G. And take it for granted that you will see a revolution happening as soon as 5G comes in. And you already see the first applications being experimented in certain restricted locations right now. And you also see actually domination of 5G still is with certain countries. And you also see the political discussions happening around the introduction of 5G. Now, some pictures for people who can already see what's going to happen are the e-scooters coming up and bicycles all getting electrified. And you also see cities getting connected completely using 5G, and pedestrians, vehicles, and infrastructure all getting together. Now, these are, some of them are actually artistic representations, but you can see them in certain restricted areas getting into experimental levels right now. Now, tomorrow's transportation, everything gets connected. You have autonomous vehicles with no steering wheel, no drivers, passenger sitting. You also have shared vehicles that get shared. Then you've got electric vehicles that get charged. You have flying cars. You see them volocopters. You must have heard the name already. You've got hyperloops, magnetic levitation hyperloops as well. Then super high-speed maglev trains. You see them all. Then you also have autonomous parts. There are, you come out of your house, you sit in one of the parts, and the parts get connected to each other, become a platoon, like a train, and parts actually disconnect wherever you have to go out. You've got jet-powered hoverboards coming in. There is going to be quite a bit of difficulty in managing the space. Now, you can imagine it sounds nice to see such a guy flying, but imagine there are millions of people flying. They fall down like bees, like house flies. So you may have heard in European legislation people discussing about reserving certain space, like 100 meters to 150 meters for post. Drones delivering stuff only for between 100 to 150 meters and so on. So I think space will have to be divided, separated based on the applications. And you will see multi-mode vehicles, land, air, on water, and underwater. There are, I'm sure some of you may have been following this. There is a lot happening there as well. Now, multimodal transportation, I have already explained, so I'll leave this for now. Now, you have already seen Amazon doing experiments of airship-based logistics. You will see them. There are people who talk of these not just only for logistics, but also for remote areas for internet connection. You will see them coming in, especially countries where you cannot bring infrastructure. You probably can have such a balloon flying there for quite many months, providing wireless connection to the villages. Now, there are 4 scenarios according to Frost and Sullivan. They say between 2018 and 2022, you will have a multi-modality in the mobility getting established. As I said, first mile to last mile, or first centimeter to last centimeter, establishing itself. And from 2022 to 26, you should be seeing platformization of transport, which is like what you see in the smart cities in future. And according to Frost and Sullivan, 2026 to 2035, you have the technological singularity in mobility, where the singularity here basically means you don't have those concepts that you've seen in the past. There is no engine at all, no steering wheels, and these are parts. They could look, depending on the application, quite differently. Why does something have to have 4 wheels? Can there be more wheels? Can there be 2 wheels? Can there be 3 wheels? Whatever. So there's going to be quite a bit of change in the design itself once you do not have a steering wheel and no driver. So fantasy is the only limitation in such a case. And towards the end of that, around 2035 to 2050, you should be seeing what they call the transcendental mobility, where taking off from a particular place could be as near as few meters from where you live. And you see this experiment that has recently been done by the Airbus. Could this be the future of the travel? Is a question that people could ask. And with that, I am done with my presentation. I'm open for comments and questions and answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's an excellent presentation. We got a lot of questions in the chat. Let me go over one by one. And first of all, before getting into that, previously you were with Ashok Leyland. It is one of the largest manufacturer of electric, largest manufacturer of the trucks and commercial vehicles. You are more or less in the kind of a startup kind of a company or like an environment. What do you feel the difference in the electric mobility market? I'm overall asking how much time it takes for development, R&D, all those things.
You see, electrification is actually bringing the entry level down to a level where literally anyone can make in future a vehicle. I mean, it's too far-reaching a statement, but let me add a little bit more complexity to this. I can just buy a motor, I can buy a battery, and I can buy an axle. So there is actually a development happening. So if you see the axle providers, They want to put motors in the axle. They want to put even batteries in the axle over the time, and everything in the axle. So all you require is to buy 2 axles, somehow connect them to the body, and you're all set to go. So you will see startup companies coming up with these very fascinating concepts. So I mean, you must have seen just 3 years ago there were only how many companies? Let me see, about 80 bus companies were there in the world. Today I've got 250 of them, 250 already, and they're all born. They're just making 100 buses. I'm just, a fantastic company called Proterra in the United States. It's a very expensive bus. It costs $800,000 for a bus, but what a bus. They only sell 120 buses and they're very profitable. So that means the business models have come down to a level where small companies can make some fantastic stuff. That's my comment for this.
Fantastic. So here actually we have a diverse kind of audience, starting from academicians and also like industrialists and who are all working in the electric vehicle already and also planning to make. So I think this answer helps a lot. Here are some of the questions. What are the advancements made in battery management system and also on the charging technology?
Yeah. You see, most of the companies, there's a dichotomy here. One is the vehicle makers want to have a control over the BMS, the battery management system, but it's not that easy because BMS has everything to do, especially with the chemistry of the battery. Why do we require a battery management system, from my point of view, is to manage the last 20%, where you have a range anxiety. You want to manage that. But there are other ones as well. For example, when a particular, I want to be independent of a particular battery manufacturer. I want to be able to control a battery. I want to be able to control different kinds of batteries. I want to be able to control even a fuel cell powering a battery in future, big fuel cells with a small battery in some kind of a new kind of hybrid systems. So most of the companies believe that they would like to have a control over the BMS so that they will be able to control their philosophy. Every company has a philosophy on certain things. Now, a BMS should be very often looked in conjunction with the vehicle electronic control unit. Now, when the range is only 50 kilometers, now do I spend most of my battery on the AC? I switch off the AC, or I do something else. So it's all about the last few miles management is where these things really matter. So BMS is a war, and there will be, you've got the thermal runaway controls and the safety. These are all some of the philosophies that OEMs want to control. So but at the same time, battery guys, the cell makers and pack makers also want to have their BMS. So I could imagine in future there must be some kind of a layer. The BMS supplied by the battery makers will be just giving those parameters that are required, and this should be done in such a way that it can be integrated in the vehicle philosophy by the OEMs or by the vehicle makers.
Yeah, thank you. That gives like a clear answer. And also there are a lot of questions about the battery management system. Here is one from Rotary in Ajay Kale from Rotary Club of Pune. Dear sir, very good lecture. Please give some information on electrical vehicle battery type, size, cooling materials, etc. I think about battery, whatever you haven't covered in the previous one, probably you can cover here.
That's a little too technical, but you've got you have a chiller. You have to cool the battery from outside, but there's also in the pack itself. You've got lots of things that people do. We have seen batteries where the cylindrical batteries, for example, float literally in a dielectric 3M liquid, and you see some of these cells becoming wireless. You have these wires going all over the place from cell to the BMS, the module at the pack level. and these wires are all going away over the time, so they gain about 25% more space to get more density into the battery pack. I mean, you know, but people already are looking at, in the labs, you already see the batteries running at the room temperatures. I know they're playing between the anode and the cathode. You know, there are new kinds of anodes coming up that will allow you to have batteries at the room temperature. So this is actually a technology that's you know, developing quite fast, and I can imagine you will see one day you probably do not require a chiller at all. You know, but that's the future. That's good. You know, solid state. I don't know why you know, solid state is really required, but I see that it is the world is going towards solid state batteries.
Yeah, thank you. And the next question is from Rotary in Pramod. What kind of mega trend Seshu sir sees in non-road mobility machines, such as tractors, construction vehicles, such as excavators, and so on? These vehicles contributes to large amount of pollution.
I've seen actually trucks, mining trucks becoming almost driverless. If autonomy really starts, it's going to start in the mining area first, and tractors will definitely be. And you see, tractors are much more advanced than passenger cars in terms of their autonomous functions. You know, it can be geo-controlled. I mean, you know, you can have the coordinates given. The tractor doesn't move beyond that. So you see tractors and mining trucks, the heavy trucks in certain restricted areas. They will all be becoming autonomous. I already see it, you know, in mining. I already see the first experiments happening without a driver. Trucks going into the mines, coming out to in fact save the drivers from those poisonous gases in the mines, right?
Yeah, that's really good. And the next question is also from Rotary and Pramod. This question is simple, but maybe answer may be very big. What kind of challenges the truck and bus manufacturers are facing in the development of electric vehicles?
Well, you know, typically it's most of the companies do make this change, but you know, vehicle companies are actually engine companies that have a lot of knowledge. They've spent you know, decades to acquire this competency, and suddenly remove the whole thing, and you just got a small little motor and a battery, and that's it. You know, and so what else do you have now? So it becomes complete an electronics-based competence. So one of the challenges is to switch your competencies from the diesel, petrol-based knowledge to this electronics. It's not easy, by the way, because you know, you've got your 20,000 people, you know, in the company, and how do you change the competency in just few weeks or a few years? That's one of them. Second one is the development of software is another one where you require a different kind of discipline. Anyone can change the software just like that. And imagine you know, someone changes something, it gets into an electronic control unit, and you have a serious issue. So traceability of software is something that automotive companies have to get used to. These are basic. I think most of the challenges lie in the transition period and in terms of making the change in the organization and the competencies.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think you are the best person to answer this question. Actually, we were from the automobile industry to the new automobile industry. So you answered very well. Thank you. And next is from Sendil. He is from the semiconductor industry. What about security in the highly connected world with artificial intelligence into the predominantly?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of money there. Absolutely. Now, good question. Not that I have a complete answer, but you also know there is a lot of security thing that's happening in the automotive world. You know, vehicles can be used as a weapon, right? We have seen in Berlin, we've seen in some other places, vehicle being used as a weapon. So I can tell you, by the way, authorization authentication. Are you the driver? Are you allowed to drive? Is the vehicle the one that it's supposed to drive at this particular time? What can you drive? So there are lots of questions that need to be answered. So they're all looking at it. So that means it's not just a 128-bit of encryption, but it's all about a complete end-to-end philosophy, including who's allowed to write onto your electronic control unit. That means once so I can imagine there are, by the way, there are companies working on it, but basically on a general level, there will be more authentication authorization done. When I talk of on the top level, authorizer, are you allowed to write something into the car? That means I'm sitting in the car now, and I actually I'm driving, right? That means steering wheel is writing something onto the ECU. That means I want to turn to the right, I want to turn to the left, and so on. So authorization, authentication will play major role, and rest is all very well. The writing, reading the software, and everything is connected, right? That means the cloud and the back end, the whole thing has to be secured. So no, I have no answer. There is no answer for it, but this is a big thing. This is a big thing.
Yeah, it's also scary too when you elaborate, like when the vehicle can go itself, it can do anything.
Imagine, vehicles can be used as weapons, right?
And next is from Mr. Jagdisha. EV charging and battery development India at lower cost. That's what his question.
The answer is simple: impossible. The reason is, you're required to have access to materials. Lithium, cobalt, manganese, and so on. Nickel, well, nickel probably is available, but there are these materials where we rely upon today to make batteries are not available in India. So imagine you don't have competencies in the battery management systems, because you cannot build the batteries, because you do not have access to the materials. If you cannot make them, how can you make them cheap? The only difference between, let's say, if you import them all from other countries, you have a lot of import duty. I don't think it's going to be cheaper. You have a compensation. In India, probably you're looking at manpower cost maybe of 5 to 8%, depending upon the industry. And in the West, you're looking at 18 to 20% of labor cost. And so, but that's the only difference you have. But if you're buying the material from outside, importing them, paying the import taxes, duties, I can't imagine that this labor cost difference does make any difference any longer. So I don't know if I have an answer that's going to solve this problem. I think the only way I can see is that there are materials, new materials that will be used in future where India has abundance availability. But that's only, there are, by the way, there are some materials. People are looking at them.
Okay, thank you. Right now we are crossing the time. Probably another 3 questions I will pick it up.
Okay.
Next is from Mr. Hemant Sharma. What trend on the solar integration with EV charging on the global level and also in India?
It's a good question, by the way. But very well, at the same time, solar being all right, but it requires a big field to generate the electricity required to charge a vehicle. I think the energy has to be mixed from solar and wind and other ones. I can imagine India should be looking at nuclear energy as well, but it has its own disadvantages, but it's still a clean one otherwise, if you can take care of the rest of the life cycle. But with solar, it does, by the way, it doesn't mean that you cannot do it. It has to be a mix between other ones as well for charging. Now, the network has to change quite a bit. Imagine that you're charging a 150 kilowatt hour battery in 2 hours, and you have to bring this whole electricity to this place. And they could, unless you have these big, thick cables. You may have seen, by the way, it's a maybe $3-digit billion investment you're looking at, maybe even mid $3-digit billion investment on a level, India country size level. So yeah, I don't know. Space is another issue. I don't know if proliferation of electric vehicles will be as fast as we would love to have, because of charging being the blocking parameter.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is, what happen, from Rotary in Raghuvala, what happens to oil, petrol, and diesel? Okay, I mean, one of the concern also we have is Indian government runs with oil money. How do we handle?
Well, no, I think fortunately for all of us, such a big change doesn't happen overnight. We will have 20 years of time to change the way we work, the way things happen. And this slow transition is the best way, where you see the shift of the employment going from traditional auto diesel based economy to electrification. But then oil, there is going to be not much of an oil anyway. So, and Indian government has to earn money from something else, or any government for that matter. But I don't know. But if you import less oil, the dependence is also less. So the answer is basically there are other ways, and I can't imagine. Electrification and autonomous stuff and whatever, they bring in so much of employment. Things that we have not yet heard before, things we have not seen before, will all be new kinds of jobs come up. So, during the transition, societies might suffer for quite some time, but we have seen that before.
Okay, I think the last question. What is this is from Mr. PP Om Prakash, Rotarian PP Om Prakash. What is the need of hover in India? Is it the FDI or acquisition which change the result in the desired transition in this space?
FDI, right? Foreign direct investments.
Yes.
Yeah. There are a lot of people who actually were discussing about the spat that's happening between China and India, and industry, leaving China and coming to India. What people did not recognize is in the middle, you've got Vietnam that was profiting from everything. There's so much of industry that's gone already to, not all of them, but so it's ease of doing business is still considered to be not easy for companies from other, from the Western or the developed countries. So I can imagine that will still be a parameter for FDI, but FDI for industry or FDI for other things. Indian stock market system is fantastic. You can earn 9% by doing nothing and keeping the money in your account. No other country in the world can give you 9%. So I can imagine there are other ways why foreign direct investment happens in India, but industry-wise, I think it will still be trickling, but I don't think there's a flood that's happening there. And not that I'm a politician, but I don't think it's going to be that easy for India to change the system within just a few years. So that's all I can talk of today. Yeah. Raja, thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Pawan. Thank you, Dr. Seshu, for very interesting and energy-filled talk. And it was a very good sneak peek into future of driving and how we are going to see the future of driving automatic vehicles. And for sure, people in Bangalore like us, we appreciate the value of automatic driving. The amount of time we spend on the roads. And personally, I work for Qualcomm, and I know a small part of the equation of some of things that you talked about, like connectivity, ML, image processing, and safety of the electronics involved. And it was really very interesting to see the other side of the equation, how all these small parts are coming together in a working vehicle and how business cases can be built on top of it. Thank you very much for your time. And with this, I move on to the next part of the meeting. We now welcome Rotarian Dr. O.P. Khanna, who needs no special introduction in the circles of Rotary. He is well known for his work at Needy Hearts Foundation, a philanthropic organization that has intervened medically, socially, and financially to provide cardiac treatment, including surgery for unprivileged persons from Asia and African countries. Dr. O.P. Khanna is a graduate engineer from IIT Kharagpur and a postgraduate from Halle, Germany. And he is a chartered engineer in UK. And he has held several positions at like chairman, MD, and CEO of various multinational corporations over the last 16 years. And he's also known for his work for rehabilitation for destitute children and seniors and vocational training of poor school and college dropouts. He has also authored 4 books for engineering education and has about 100 plus write-ups into his credits. Welcome, sir. Welcome to our club.
Thank you. Thank you, Pawan, for the nice words. Do you want to give me the talk, or is the handing over? What is the next step?
Sir, you can briefly talk about the session.
Okay, good.
I'll hand over the award.
All right. Thank you, Pawan, for the nice words. President Manoj, Dr. Seshu, Dr. Radhakrishna, distinguished dignitaries from various clubs across the country, fellow Rotarians, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a privilege for me to be amidst this august gathering. I've had the opportunity of attending quite a few of your meetings in the past. I must admit, I have always enjoyed being here, and this occasion is no exception. Well, friends, you have just heard a brilliant talk from Dr. Seshu Bhagavathula, and I will not like to dilute that flavor. He talked almost everything on the future of mobility, battery and fuel cells, electric cars, storage and lighter materials, autonomous drive technologies, alternate fuels to fossil fuels, connected vehicles, autonomous vehicles, shared vehicles, electric vehicles, 5G technology, and the AI in mobility, V2I, the types of various communications like V2I, V2V, V2C, V2P, and V2X, air and space control, or air and space travel, almost everything connected with the mobility are the future of mobility. I would like to add my personal appreciation, Dr. Seshu, for the way you conducted or you covered the topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much as well.
I am particularly happy as our distinguished speaker, Dr. Seshu, director of a company in Sweden, but having a background of a country, of Germany, a country where I had spent quite a few years during early 60s.
Wow.
If India is his motherland, Germany is his fatherland or fatherland. That is how the German newspaper Berliner Zeitung wrote about me in 1966.
Wow.
Well, besides that, Dr. Seshu and I'm very happy that we have quite a few things in common. I'm an ITian, a technocrat, coming from the automotive industry. I worked for Daimler Benz in 60s in Germany, then Tata Motors and Hindustan Motors in India. Almost 35 years out of my 59 years industrial experience went into automotive industry. And lastly, the electric vehicles. Bangaloreans know that I was the managing director of Reva, the first electric car produced in the country. First commercial electric vehicles. There might be many in the research side, but these are the things which, when I found or went through his biography given, I was stunned. Very well done, sir. And President Manoj, your club has played a very significant role in District 3190, particularly in making heart surgery the biggest community project of the District 3190. My hearty compliments for saving over 100 precious lives. Let me take this opportunity to wish President Manoj and the entire club a very great year in service. Your past president, Purun Chandra Rao, R.R. Patel, etc., gave me the opportunity and the honor of being the chief guest for many key functions like Independence Day, literacy program, the charter night, etc. I must say I have been very proud to be associated with your club. Thank you again for making me a part of this great function. Over to you, Manoj, or over to you, Raja.
Sir, you can read out the citation, sir.
Yeah, sure. Well, friends, it is indeed a privilege for me to hand over this prestigious Rotary Vocational Excellence Award to Dr. Seshu Bhagavathula in recognition of the great work he has done and is doing. My heartiest congratulations, sir, to
Thank
you.
you, sir.
I will read out the citation. Rotary District 3190 and the Rotary Bangalore Whitefield Central jointly bestow Rotary Vocational Excellence Award to Dr. Seshu Bhagavathula, Director, Volta Trucks, Sweden, in recognition of excellence achieved in his chosen field of vocation and contributing to the good of the society for Jnana Vaividya Vocational Diversity Speaker Series, presented by Rotarian O.P. Khanna, District Advisor, and signed by people, Dr. E.M. Radhakrishna, District Vocational Director, Rotarian Manoj, who is the President of the Rotary Club of Whitefield Central, Rotarian Raja Ramana, Vocational Chairman of the Rotary Club of Whitefield Central, and Mayank Agarwal, who is the Secretary of the club. Again, my hearty congratulations, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And
thank you very much.
All of us are very proud that you got this Vocational Excellence Award, and we are so happy to listen to your excellent coverage of the topic.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you from my side. I'm honored. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Over to the President, Manoj.
Thank you, sir. Now,
Greetings on behalf of Governor Nagendra Prasad. Today being the last session of this 12-week Jnana Vaividya series, I just want to give a summary of what went into this program while planning it and actually what happened. I think COVID gave us a lot of opportunities to connect to people all around the world. And one of the core values of Rotary being diversity, we thought we will focus on this particular area to reach out to the people, and diversity in vocation, diversity in knowledge. Therefore, this knowledge diversity has come out as Jnana Vaividya. And during this 12-week session, we have been able to touch upon different aspects. Most of them are emerging technologies. We started with satellite telecommunication, climate monitoring. Then we moved on to green entrepreneurship during the COVID situation. We looked into digital marketing, then climate resilient agricultural practices using natural farming technology. We had speakers from Israel who spoke on agricultural technologies, focusing on more crop per drop. We also had experienced Israeli agriculture scientists who worked in India, sharing their experiences of taking the technology into Indian farming. We also had another excellent presentation on energy Swaraj, how actually solar can change the energy scenario all around the world, especially in India. We had a presentation on blockchain technology in economic transactions. And one more presentation was on dietary supplements. What should we be taking, benefits and risk, and new food, blue revolution, where opportunities are coming up in a big way. There is another session. And last week we had two startups guys, young guys, coming and talking about food and flight, two different aspects, but how actually startup thing is working. I mean, we had a great session, and today we had an excellent session on future of mobility. So what we got is around 12 to 15 excellent speakers of international are coming onto this platform, and we had around 1,000 plus attendees over these 12 weeks. I think this knowledge is very effectively shared during this, and every session had attendance of 100 plus kind of thing. And we are not stopping at this. Some of this knowledge that we have got, we are trying to convert into projects for the community. So next week we have a validatory session on this, and maybe we are going to present 5 projects which we are going to implement not only in our district. We seek collaboration with all the clubs who participated not only within the district but out of the district to implement this all around India, maybe some of the other places outside India as well. Thank you so much. I think a lot of effort has gone for this from Rotary Bangalore, Whitefield Central, President Manoj and Vocational Service Director Raja, and the whole team backing them up from the club. Thank you so much. We will meet next week and see how actually these sessions can be converted into real practical projects. Thank you so much.
thank you, sir. Now, vote of thanks. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank today's speaker, Dr. Seshu Bhagavathula. He gave an excellent session, and then we had a lot of interaction with him to schedule this meeting. We want to make this as a last and final meeting, should be like a very good. So definitely we made it. Thank you, sir, for your presence. And I would also like to thank our district DG, Rotary and BL Nagendra Prasad, for his guidance, and Rotary and Dr. Radhakrishna for his entire guidance, and then helping us with the infrastructure, with the people and everything, and especially for the district vocational team and also district IT team, specifically Rotary and Devadasan, and Rotary and Ramesh, Dr. Ramesh, and Rotary and Pavan Kumar from RBWC for today's meeting, introducing the speaker and as well as our chief guest. And I would like to thank Rotary and Dr. O.P. Khanna, Really, sir, your presence made the difference. Today is our last Jnana Vaidvidya series program, and then it came out very nice. I would also like to thank all the guest clubs: Rotary Club of Bangalore, Rotaract Mysore, Rotaract IBS Bangalore, Rotary Bangalore HSR, Rotary Pune, Rotary Bangalore Kalyan, Rotary Bangalore Social, Rotary Bangalore Lakshmi Road, Rotaract IIT, Rotary Bangalore Centennia. All of you, thank you for participating today and make this event very successful. And also, I would like to thank all the Rotarians, non-Rotarians, academicians, and people from various industries like a semiconductor, automobile industry. Everybody came here today for listening this talk. I would like to thank everybody for spending time on this today. And I would also like to tell the next week, the same time, we would like to do the Jnana Vaidvidya validatory series. I would like to invite everybody the next week also. Thank you. Sorry, this week we are a little bit. I'm sorry about it, but it's okay, I guess. Thank you. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you so much. Can we leave now, or
yes,
you
sir.
have some? Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.